Want a simple world? Follow the simple world.
Boeing 737 made its maiden flight and first fortune in 1969, which is 50 years ago. Since then, this aircraft started to appear in almost every airline of the world, and its unparalleled presence is a testament to its position of being the most successful commercial aircraft in human history. As of March 2018, more than 10,000 Boeing 737s have been delivered successfully, not counting those who were still in production and those ordered, but production has yet to begin. Even so, it had already set a new Guinness World Record. Although these 10,000-odd aircraft are all referred to as Boeing 737, there are some differences between them, as there are many different models of Boeing 737s. If an enterprise wants to achieve long-term success, it has to keep developing new products to meet new customers' growing demand. One hot sale could save a lot of effort, as long as it kept being improved and upgraded. It can attain the incredible effect of both retaining existing customers and attracting potential customers. The reason why there are so many models of Boeing 737 is that over the past 50 years, Boeing has never stopped working on it. Such an interactive upgrading tactic is also very popular with the customers. To an airline, taking over a brand new aircraft means retraining of pilots and crew. Before the aircraft can take off and bring in profits, a lot of time and resources will be burned through. This makes airlines somewhat resistant to new aircraft, but show a particular preference for the improved models. Not only can pilots and stewardesses adapt easily, the cost incurred by the airlines is also lower. So Boeing 737 has been modified in various ways over the past 50 years, either by lengthening the fuselage or improving the cockpit, or by replacing the interior decor and external materials, amounting to a total of 14 different models. While the earlier models are now displayed in museums, the later models are still heavily in use. By improving and upgrading Boeing 737, Boeing made a grand fortune. But this wasn't a smooth sailing journey, as Boeing met a formidable rival, the hot-sale Airbus 320 by French company Airbus. With the introduction of a competitor, the market demands are not only the consideration of Boeing 737's new models as well as the comparison with its competitor. The pressure from both sides made Boeing so anxious. After the refitting plant racked its brains, the final magic version of Boeing 737 MAX series was born. Of course, no matter how it was improved, the major structure of the aircraft cannot be changed. Otherwise, it is to develop new aircraft. The biggest problem encountered in the improvement of the MAX series is that the height of the fuselage is not enough. When the larger engine is installed, the engine is too close to the ground. If anything on the ground is sucked in by the engine during the takeoff or the landing phase, it will be a big deal. To this end, Boeing had to flatten the bottom of the engine and raise the front wheel cushion and move it nearer to the nose of the aircraft. All these were to meet the standard of usage. With such modifications, the product can finally compete with Airbus, but because of its center of gravity changed, the nose of the 737 MAX is prone to upturn when flying, which means that the pilot has to adjust the plane's attitude at intervals. With the goal of people first and not bringing troubles to customers, Boeing introduced an automatic correction system. Whenever the nose is detected to be upturned, this system will be automatically activated and bring the plane to a horizontal level. No need any extra operation to the pilot, it cannot be more considerate. Unfortunately, the system doesn't seem to be reliable. An Indonesia airliner crashed into the sea last October, caused 189 people dead. An Ethiopian airliner crashed to the ground in March this year, caused 157 people dead. Both crashes are deemed to have connections with the automatic correction system, probably saying that the control system kept on adjusting when the plane is already horizontal and kept pressing the nose down, which left nothing the captain can do but just grin with tears in the eyes. If two disasters had happened 20 years ago, Boeing could have asked media all over the world to use its official news release. However, in the information age, while Boeing was still proofreading its official statement, video clips of crash scene has gone viral on the internet. The higher market share Boeing has, the more widely the panic was spread. Soon, 737 MAX was grounded around the globe, and following orders have been either postponed or cancelled. Stock price of Boeing plunged, followed by a series of lawsuits and claims. During the hard time, Dennis, the CEO of Boeing, is filled with hatred. He hates his employees did not upgrade the airplane well, which caused such a big trouble. He also hates Airbus, the rising competitor from Europe, who pushed Boeing to do radical upgrade to an old model which left a hidden risk. Of course, the CEO of Boeing is not the only one filled with hatred. So is President Trump. If Boeing was a state-owned enterprise, Dennis would have been stripped of all his duties and waiting for further actions. President Trump is a pragmatist, even can be called the most pragmatic president in American history. A polar bear's getting skinny, a children in Africa awakened in hunger in the middle of the night, Trump has never worried about that, not even pretended to, and he doesn't care if it was criticized as lack of concern. What they only care is whether the unemployment rate of his country has dropped, whether someone are still earning money from Americans. He is eager to highlight his capability with economic success. Aviation, which the U.S. takes pride in, has an extensive industrial chain, which means it can create quantities of jobs. The process of a plane from being ordered to being delivered provided chances for Americans to make a living. Now, since Boeing took responsibility for 2 deadly crashes, Trump has to cope with the rising unemployment and plunging foreign earnings, which is a drag on his administration record. While Boeing got into troubles, its rival Airbus sharpened its knives for business expansion. After all, in aircraft industry, there are mainly just 2 options for customers, either Boeing or Airbus. The others are still in beta. Europe is probably stuck behind after offering condolence, and France should be the one left its best, as the headquarters of Airbus is in France. France is irksome for Trump, as well as Macron, a gorgeous boy who always goes against him. When Trump demanded NATO countries to increase their military expenses, France was the one voiced strongest opposition to it. When Trump imposed tariffs on EU steel and aluminum, who strongly opposed it was France again. Later, it was still France that proposed that EU should have their own armies to get rid of NATO. Though Trump is not capable of modifying Boeing's control system to make France less widely arrogant, he can easily nail it. Trump asked his team to carefully check whether there were any chances to punish the Airbus, and got a clear answer, yes. That is, Boeing once sued the Airbus to the WTO back in 2004. Saying that the EU countries had subsidized the Airbus heavily to help it develop new airplanes in a short time, which caused great losses to the Boeing, which forced Boeing refitting plans to work overtime. Boeing hoped that the WTO can investigate this seriously and give justice to the world. The WTO is inefficient in dealing with lawsuits. It even took more time on this. After all, the WTO can't afford to upset the 2 big shots, the EU and the US. It took 14 years for WTO to settle down this case. The result was finally unveiled last year. They believed that the Airbus did receive unreasonable government subsidies, which was unfair for the Boeing. In terms of government subsidy, perhaps it happens every day around the globe. Some governments give out cash directly to save a lot of troubles, the others reduce or exempt some taxes as courtesy. As a popular Chinese comedian says, it's not shame at all. Subsidizing is an indispensable administrative method for every government. As a country's administrator, the government is very concerned of unemployment and chaos. Especially, unemployment will inevitably lead to chaos. The only difference is the extent. If some measures can postpone or eliminate unemployment, then it is very worth of trying, such as subsidizing their enterprises. Subsidizing corporations on the verge of going bust can keep their employees' job temporarily and give the company leaders some time to find out a solution. Subsidizing those very important corporations can let them burn through their money on developing new products with an easy mind. Not only does it increase employment, making their business more competitive, it can even increase foreign exchange earnings, safeguarding national strategic security and enhancing the national pride. The cases of Americans subsidizing Boeing or Europe subsidizing Airbus are all belongs to this scope. Developing an airliner costs a lot, with a conservative estimation of more than several billions expenditure. Taking the Airbus A380 as an example, its R&D even costed up to hundreds of billions. If the airplane manufacturer had to pay it for themselves, it is a huge risk for them. All the hard work would be in the vain if they ran out of money. However, with the support of the government tax reliefs or continued special funding, the success rate will be greatly improved. But talking in business, the government subsidy looks unfair, since no matter how strong an enterprise is, it cannot compete against the government. If one government is inferior to its rival on law and sports, sooner or later its products and competitiveness will fall behind. Within the limited funds and resources, in order to defeat the rival, sometimes a risk has to be taken, such as the magic version of Boeing 737 MAX. Boeing's setback this time made Trump quite upset, so did the EU. In the past 2 years, EU kept voicing against him on different occasions. Taking this chance on Boeing's accident, Trump found a good reason to impose duties on EU products. That is, EU's unreasonable subsidies for the Airbus. He placed $11 billion tariffs on the EU's products. What is ranking top in his list is exactly the aircraft of Airbus. Trump dived in the real estate business ever since he graduated from university. Each time when he bought a land to build, what he cared most is whether he can obtain a government's tax relief or interest-free loans. Tax relief is actually another name of government subsidy to boost its economy. So it's fair to say that Trump has been subsidized by his government all his life. Nowadays, the US government is subsidizing their industry and farming under his leadership. So, talking to the rule-breaking and unfair competition, Trump is not innocent. As to all the quarrelings and fightings among countries, the root lies in the interest-sharing unbalanced. In front of the interest and morality, the professional politicians would pretend to show some courtesy, but for the businessman Trump, the biggest immorality is not to make his benefit maximized. Each enterprise wishes to be subsidized by its government and outscore its opponent, and meanwhile to stop subsidizing its opponent. Each government wishes to increase its employment rate by subsidizing its enterprises, and meanwhile to see the subsidizing stopped in other countries. What's the essence of our world spinning?
Thanks for watching. Share if you like us. See you next time.